Hi, Rachel, are you there?
Hi, Alex. How are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm well, how are you?
I'm good. It's a beautiful day. I'm just like sitting by the window for my chat with you, and it's picture perfect. So excited for this conversation and in a really good mood. So,
Good. Well, that's what we like to hear. Thanks so much for taking the time to do this.
yeah, of course. Our meeting in NYC in the grand scheme of things was like a short period of time, but it felt like we really got to know each other. So, I feel like I've missed you, and I'm excited to be on with you again. But have you been since?
I've been great, just immersing myself in the Web3 world. And yeah, and really I have you to thank for a lot of the connections that I made in New York. So thank you. I'm going to do a quick intro as people are logging on, and then we can jump into stuff. But I also agree. I really enjoyed meeting you in New York, and yeah, it was great. I look forward to the next time we get to see each other in real life too. Okay, so I don't know. That's all right.
Me too. I was listening to you. I just was going as fast as I can so I could tweet out the room and then come back here.
Perfect. Well, you can do that. I'll do the intro, and then we'll jump in. So hi friends, welcome to the Women in Web3 interview series. I'm your host Alex, and I'm the community manager for CharmVerse. CharmVerse is a Web3 operations platform handling docs, tasks, bounties, and proposals. It is a place for team contributors to coordinate day-to-day work, sign in with crypto wallets, and unlock workspaces with tokens and NFTs. It brings together onboarding, bounty management, proposals, trackers, and data repositories all in one place. And they are the sponsor of this series. The point of this series is to feature and promote badass women that are making waves in Web3. That being said, today we're talking to Rachel Price Sitman, founder of XCollective, and we'll be discussing the mission of XCollective and the importance of equity in Web3. So again, for those that are just joining, Rachel Price Sitman is here and doing amazing things in Web3. Super excited to have her. So Rachel, thanks again for being here.
Yeah, of course. And thank you for all you're doing. And CharmVerse is an awesome tool. It is already, but it's going to be even more so. Such a game changer for people building in the space and make it easier for them to get things off the ground and be organized. And just, I can't even believe how challenging it is just working with people asynchronously across different time zones and places. So there's just so many great use cases for the CharmVerse product. I'm excited to spread the word about it as well.
Thanks so much for the shout out. Yeah, we're really excited. We actually just announced a feature today. We just launched our proposal and voting feature. So super excited about that. You should definitely check it out. Everyone should go check it out. So yeah, thanks for that shout out, Rachel. I appreciate it. But we're here to talk about you. So why don't you tell us about XCollective and the mission behind it?
Awesome. Yeah. So for anyone who's not familiar with us, we were formerly called XDAO and now we're called XCollective. So I like to mention that because we started it back in January. And so we were floating around for about 5 months as XDAO. So if anyone might remember that name, we've rebranded and we're XCollective. The name is just more fitting for what we're trying to do, which is build really a collective group of people who are looking to get great jobs in Web3, focused on empowering women and non-binary individuals, because as most of us know from the Web2 world, we didn't do such a great job with diversity in hiring there. And so we're in the early stages of Web3, and I know there are a lot of ways actually that we can change that moving forward and create more equity in the space, using not just like each other to make good decisions, but also the technology. So really excited to bring people together in our community. We help them translate their Web2 skills into Web3 jobs and craft their narrative, tell their story, gain the confidence, get rid of that imposter syndrome, all the way through the end of the process when you're looking for a job to the pay and the compensation piece. So we put out a survey to collect data on how people are being compensated in this space right now to help arm people, especially women and non-binary people, with the data that they need to go negotiate for roles and understand and know their market value in the space. And then the last thing I'll mention is we do have an NFT collection, which I know we'll get to later on. I can give Mel the proper shout out she deserves. Mel is our artist, and she's created a beautiful collection for us that is going to act as a membership to our community, and we'll be releasing that in the next few weeks. And I also want to give a shout out to Bonnie, who's our community manager, who's listening on here as well. She's fantastic. She's the warm, welcoming voice behind our community. So thank you, Bonnie, for all you do. And it's a little bit about XCollective.
And that is a great summary. We'll definitely dive into it more because I think the things you're doing are super important. Yeah, I mean, it's so important to have someone advocating for women and underrepresented communities in this industry that is so male dominated. And hopefully, with it being such a relatively new industry, the more we can focus on equity now, the more we can narrow that gender gap later. So how did you get into Web3? Just a little backstory.
Yeah, so back in probably December, January, I started to really take notice to the amazing women-led NFT projects that were coming out. At the time, I think one of my first, one of my first NFTs was about Pixie. I was following Women Rise, World of Women. I did not have one, and I still don't have one, but I was eyeing them for sure. Just was really impressed by those amazing women leading those initiatives, and it really got me exploring the technical side of the blockchain and trying to understand a bit more how everything worked and tracked and how creators can be rewarded in perpetuity the way they deserve to. And I was like, wow, this is really fascinating. And there's a use case here for recruiting. And I didn't know, and I still am figuring out 6 months later what exactly this is going to look like. But I will say there's definitely something about the blockchain technology that could help make recruiting and hiring more inclusive, with less bias. And so I'm excited about all those potentials and just working through ways to bring that into my community and just the larger ecosystem because a lot of the founders I'm talking to, they want to, be hiring with DEI in mind, but they're just not even sure where to start. So, yeah, excited to provide resources to both. Like, it's a multifaceted marketplace here. We're obviously supporting our candidates, but what I realized a few months back is if I want to get women and non-binary people paid fairly in Web3, well, I'm actually not paying all of them. I'm not the hiring manager for all of those individuals. I have to go to the founders and help educate them and guide them and provide them with resources and tools that they need to actually do what we're trying to do. And so started to open up our community to not just be candidates seeking jobs, but also employers and founders looking to hire as well. So that's been a lot of fun to kind of all the discovery and research along the way.
I love it. I love it. So, what was I just going to ask you? I just lost it.
I was going to add.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, do you think there's an advantage to Web3 as far as making equity more feasible because there's this anonymity aspect to it?
Yeah, it's like such a great point that you bring up there because I don't think people. I think a lot of people are thinking about the anonymity in Web3 in different ways, but not as much when it comes to hiring. And I think for me as a recruiter, I didn't mention this, but for anyone who doesn't know me, my background is in recruiting. I've recruited for the past 7 years for early stage tech startups. Actually, through that journey is how I met Alex Poon, the founder of CharmVerse. So it's all serendipitous, and that's really why I'm here today. Thanks to meeting him. But yeah, so I just lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? I just totally got distracted and lost my train of thought. Anonymity.
Yes.
But yes, in the space, what's really interesting is there's so much bias, and I've seen it for years in terms of like, you know, having our photos on LinkedIn and our names, and people being able to see um, just what we look like and making certain biases and judgments based on that. And it's something that with the anonymity in Web3 is really, really awesome because it just removes that whole layer and you're really just focused on merit and work and quality of people's work. So I do think that the fact that in Web3 you can be a bit more anonymous is really amazing. I think it's challenging. I will say I don't think we've figured it fully out yet, but it is challenging when it comes to hiring because and the idea of like doxing yourself versus non-doxing. It's hard to imagine a world in which we can hire people without knowing really who they are, but at least maybe in the first part of the process where a lot of the bias occurs, we could have more anonymity there, and then once you get to actually like joining a company, maybe at that point, it's you would be able to dox yourself and be more open on who you are because obviously you're going to sign like an employment contract with them. But at least in the beginning, I think it's really awesome that we can focus more on what people have done, what people have built, as opposed to just where they went to school, what they look like, and what their name is, and what their race is. So it's really exciting in that way. And I'm even thinking about how being anonymous can help us have more open conversations. And so I've been really fascinated by the pay transparency piece of all of this because we've kind of struggled in Web 2 to have much pay transparency. And so what's really to say that we'll have more of it in Web 3? And I think that if we could create within our Discord, we started with the ability for people to submit a support ticket and write anything that they want about compensation, and then we can post it on their behalf so that they can remain anonymous, which I think is a good start. But I have this like dream, and we're working actually internally to figure this out of a way where people can actually maybe have an avatar or a character or someone in the metaverse and go into some sort of room with other people and talk extremely openly, candidly about the conversation, talk numbers, talk stories, situations, feedback, and just have this like really open conversation where people don't need to say like you don't need to know who's behind that person because you can be whoever you want in the metaverse. So that's something I'm really excited about. So I think there's a lot of solves for some of the inequities that Web3, the Web3 itself solves for.
You there?
Yes, I'm back.
Oh, I don't know what just happened.
Oh no, I think I got robbed.
Oh no. All right. Well, I just tweeted out that we're starting a new one, so I'm hoping people will jump back on.
Yes.
Thanks for jumping back on with me so quickly.
No worries. I wasn't sure if it was on my end, but I'm glad we're getting
Yeah, I
back.
have no idea. My screen just went gray. So,
Alex, make me a co-host, please. That way, just if it happens again, we've got like multiple.
Perfect.
But I'll tweet it out again so people. Because we had
Great group of people. We had a good amount of people on there.
yeah. Okay. All right, we're getting people.
All right. Okay, great.
Now,
Thank you everyone for jumping back on. We had I don't know what happened if it was my end or Rachel's end, but we are back. Yeah, so talking about like avatars and just creating a space where people can talk anonymously and freely and just have more confidence in that sense to really get to the bottom of some of these issues.
exactly. Yes, I'm excited about what all of that means just for all the bias that exists and discrimination in hiring that can be, just eliminated based on us focusing less on some of those like superficial factors, right? And just basically
Yeah.
what people have done.
Well, and getting back to that anonymity, the idea of people hiring based on where someone lives or their gender or their background, at least you can get through the first couple hurdles that maybe you wouldn't have made it through in a different industry in Web 2 or whatever. Now, with that anonymity aspect in Web 3, so it gets you further along and opens up more opportunities for sure.
Exactly.
So a lot of people are familiar with the gender pay gap, but you also talk about the gender network gap. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, definitely. LinkedIn had a few articles on this, and in general, I've read a bunch. Can you hear me okay, Alex?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just want to be super short. There's a bunch of research just on networks, especially when it comes to the differences between the genders. I think from my research, and when I say research, I mean just like my past 6, 7 months of conversations with a lot of people, especially women in this space, it feels like there's kind of two reasons why people, I feel, especially women, are not making introductions as often as they maybe could be. One part of it, I would say, is kind of like the just the psychology of it all and the mindset of like, oh, if I make an introduction, what if it's not the best introduction? Or does it mean I then owe somebody? And does it mean that I need to do something for them or whatever it may be? Just like the way oftentimes I know I've been in that seat of you feel like you worked very hard to establish strong relationships with people and you just don't want to jeopardize that. It's your reputation. And so you might not make an introduction because you just feel like it might be easier just not to. And so I think we need to like completely squash that and start being like, all right, ladies, like just introduce two people if they have the same interest. Do not worry about what will come of it. Do not worry. Like if you truly believe and genuinely believe they're both good people and they might benefit from knowing one another, just make that introduction. And I just want to like, I think half of it is like that kind of mindset shift. And I do think that as women, we're not doing that enough for one another. So, and one thing I'd say about that is to just like really be thoughtful about like who in your network might benefit from meeting one another and be a lot less, I guess, like tight with your grip on your network and allow your network to start to get to know each other a bit more. Because I think what people realize is it feels so damn good when you introduce two people and then they have like a really good chat because of you. It's the story of my life as a recruiter, but like you don't have to be a recruiter to introduce two people. So that was a very long-winded first part of it. The second piece, I think, and the second reason I'm finding that people aren't making introductions, especially women, as much and networking as much, is actually more of like a product infrastructure issue, which is that connecting the dots and deciding who in your network should know each other, and then actually facilitating that introduction. It's actually not that easy to do. It requires like time and effort, making the introduction and thinking about who might benefit. We don't have like, Tinder that we could swipe through that, I joke about this, but that would be like my dream if I could have my network and my Tinder and I could just introduce people to each other and like just a dating app. But like, how do we make it easier for people to connect dots, for people in their networks? Like, how do you make it easier to help, for people to learn the skills to ask the right questions to really get to know someone's interests and who might benefit within their network. So, like, these are all the types of things I'm thinking about with an overarching hope that, like, all people in this space, but especially women, start introducing each other more within their networks to open up virtual doors for one another because it doesn't always have to lead to a job opportunity. It could just lead to a great conversation, or it could lead to setting two people up as a couple. Like you never know what will happen. And so if you think two people that you've been speaking with in the space should know each other, like don't hesitate, make the introduction and hopefully, what we're building with XCollective and some of the tools I'm thinking about implementing will help make actually facilitating those introductions a lot easier on all of us so that there's no, burden associated and it's just something that's really fun, really easy, and really quick to do.
Yeah, I think that's good for everyone to hear. I've definitely been guilty of that as far as like, oh, I'm scared to put myself out there because will they jive? Is it gonna, what are the consequences of that? But I think you're not responsible for that. Just let them have that conversation. They're adults. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But better to continue that networking for sure.
Exactly. Not about the amount of times it would work out versus not too, right? So if you do 10 times, it works out 9 times out of 10. Like I totally think that's a good trade, right? So the one that wasn't the best introduction, but it's going to be fine anyway. For 9 people to have met 9 other amazing people.
Yeah. Well, and a shout out to you, NFT NYC. You invited me to a lunch with a small group of people that I had never met before. And, I'm not sure if I'll be able to work with all of them in some capacity, but, it's fun to be able to talk about how we might be able to collaborate in the future. Or, hey, you should talk to my friend so and so. They'd be really interested in this. So, you never know what's going to come of it. So just do the introductions and you might just have a friend out of it at the very end. But, here we are on this talking because of networking. And I've reached out to Megan and I'm going to reach out to Jennifer. And it's just great. So even on a small scale, yeah, just keep networking, everyone.
Exactly. No, it's really true. And I was in a space recently talking. We were talking about networking, and someone came up to speak because they had a question, and then they brought up that they were interested they were a musician and an artist, and they somehow, basically, the person on stage and who was the original speaker said, "Oh, you know this person," and they're just like, we're networking right then and there on the networking space. I'm like, this is so meta. Like, we're like networking on the space, and it was awesome to see. So I think, like, not to be like, a teacher of everybody, and I don't want to use the word homework, but I kind of have to. But like as homework, I'd encourage everyone here, leave this space, like make one introduction today between 2 people in your network that you've met over the past few months, and you've had really great experiences meeting, and you think they would benefit from meeting each other, and just kind of do it as a test. And if it's not something you do often, see what comes of it, and hopefully you'll realize that it's worth doing more and more. And then I'd love to hear what happens. So report back to me.
I like it. Homework, everyone. Get to it after this. Yeah. Start connecting people.
I'm like such a real school person growing up. So when I graduated college, my dad said to me, "What are you going to do without homework?"
Yeah, we really are. We really are. Yes, I love it. I love it. So not only, we talked about this a little, but I want to dive into it more. You're not only helping give access to job opportunities, but you're helping to coach people to prepare them for the job finding process, which is sometimes a part I think people skip over, right? They're just looking for the job, but they're not preparing themselves to go through that process. So let's dig into some of the ways you help them prepare.
Yeah, definitely. I think when it comes to like applying for jobs and networking with people, I often am like, just shoot your shot, just go for it. But at the same time, as much as I want everyone to do that, you also want to make sure you're ready, right? To shoot your shot, especially if you're really excited about a company. If you aren't prepared doing all the stuff beforehand to prep for the interview and really know what you're looking for, what questions and all of that kind of stuff, you might not be presenting yourself in the best way. And so you want to make sure you're prepared and ready to do that. And that's kind of what we talk about in our Discord and workshops that we do. We really help people from before you even start the job process through the end of the process, like after they've already in the seat, because you could benefit from our community even if you're not job search seeking at the moment. Since we talk a lot about compensation, like maybe you have a conversation with a manager coming up, even if you've been at the same company 5 years, maybe have a conversation in regards to a promotion, and you want to run that by someone in the chat to kind of role play on what that conversation might look like when you want to ask for more money. But just to backtrack to the beginning of the process, a lot of the things we talk about are, especially for women, like just like shaking the imposter syndrome and just the storytelling piece of being able to recognize that you might not fit all the requirements, but that's okay because, quite frankly, in Web3, it's very unlikely that anybody fits the requirements for anything since it's all so brand new and it's a moving target and things are changing so often. And so, a lot of what we talk about is just like the beginning of the process. And a lot of it is the mental, like, kind of emotional step of just being able to shake off any negative doubts or feelings and imposter syndrome and just be like, I am worthy, I'm capable, like I can do this. And so a lot of what we talk about is how to how to assess like your strengths and not just your strengths though, but your strengths and what you actually like to do and take those things together and then use that to start figuring out the opportunities that are out there and what you might be a fit for and what you might like to do if you're moving from a Web2 to a Web3 job. So in the beginning of the process, that's like a lot of what we talk about. We talk a lot about like preparing for interviews and what that looks like, um, coming prepared with questions all the way through like how to structure your resume, everything involved in the job searching process, where we find those, and then towards the end, like the offer compensation conversations, which I said this actually recently on the space, and sorry if anyone's listening to me and is like, I heard your service already, but I want to repeat it again. I don't want to make it sound like negotiating compensation is easy. It's not. It's actually like sometimes, and for a lot of people, it's a very uncomfortable conversation and something that people refrain from doing, and then they just don't get ahead in terms of compensation because of it. And so I just want to acknowledge that as a recruiter who's negotiated for hundreds of candidates over the years, even when I have to talk about my own compensation in my current job, I get nervous and I personally don't do as good of a job as I would for other people. And so I think it's just about like the preparation for the conversation, knowing what you're going to ask, feeling comfortable going into the conversation with stats and numbers and data to point to. And so a lot of what we talk about when it comes to the negotiations and comp is around being prepared, having that data, which is really hard to find in the space right now. I was recently talking to someone who was asking about some data that we don't. So we have a survey out right now. We've got over 100 data points, which is awesome. We're continuing to collect, but someone had asked for a data point for a type of role that we just didn't have much data on yet. And I recommended that they reach out to a few people in similar seats and just say, hey, look, I'm negotiating an offer. Like, this is what they are putting in front of me. Or you seem to be in a similar role. And if you're comfortable answering this, I'd love to know if you think this compensation is fair. And so just like guiding people and advising people and encouraging people to be asking these types of questions and having these conversations more and more. That's a lot of what our education and workshops are in our collective.
I like that because I feel like a lot of us grew up being told that we shouldn't talk about compensation. You know, it's like a secret that you keep to yourself. So yeah,
Super
changing that.
taboo topic.
Yeah. So I think talking to people and figuring out where you should be, you know, and then back to the negotiation. I think that's great that you have the data to back stuff up and be prepared going into it because it always feels like an awkward situation when you're negotiating that kind of thing.
Definitely. I'll pin in a few minutes that comp survey. So if anyone hasn't seen it and is working in the space and could fill it out, that would be awesome. It's an anonymous survey. And if anyone needs some data, I see, I'm not going to, for confidentiality, say who it is, but there's someone who's listening in right now who's been awesome and recently asked for some data that we just sent. So, yeah, let's just like keep having these conversations. I promise you, I don't have all the answers. I definitely do not, but like just like starting to have the conversations and ask the questions is a good place to start and get people a little bit more comfortable talking about these things and like you said, like growing up, a lot of us like talking about what we were paid and this even money in general was considered like really it could have either been like offensive or tacky. Like you've heard so many different things. But what it does is the more quiet it keeps us, the more likely we can be in a position where we're getting paid a lot less than our male counterparts in the same exact role. And so it's just really important that we just have these conversations when and if we're comfortable. And if we're not, what I want to do so badly at X Collective is create the safest, most comfortable space for people to be talking more and more about these things. And so that's why we created the ability I mentioned before to do like a support ticket so that you can ask something about compensation in our collective without needing to associate it with your name and post on your behalf. But then also we're working through that idea of creating sort of like a like sort of anonymous metaverse room where people talk dollars and just have these conversations really openly. So if anybody actually is well versed on how to set something like that up in the metaverse, definitely let me know. So do a lot of research on it. It'd be great if anyone is listening and happens to know how to do something like that. It's really, really fun and really unique. I haven't seen anything in this space like it yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and your Discord's great. Everyone's very responsive and a lot of conversations happening. So, anyone listening, if you haven't checked out the X Collective Discord, please do that. It really is great. Um, so, let's see. Oh, you also mentioned, focusing on people's strengths, which, is the obvious part. But then you also said, but also, what do you like to do? And that's something I think people don't really think about either. It's like, well, it's not about what I like to do. It's, what am I good at? But I think that's how you find your superpower, right? Like, what am I good at? But also, what do I want to do? What do I like to do? That's going to make you more engaged with your job.
Exactly. And it's going to make you even better at it. So I think a lot of people, especially like people who are in Web2 jobs, really feel a little bit stuck or unhappy. Like that's what's so exciting about the opportunities in Web3 because, for example, like someone might be in a customer service role in a company that they're not that passionate about. But they might be like the most amazing community manager in one of these awesome women-led projects, and so the opportunities are out there and endless. It's just about having the like shaking the imposter syndrome, having the confidence to say and the ability to connect and translate those skills. Because what always like upsets me, which is maybe a dramatic word, but it really does, is when someone says to me, none of my previous experience is relevant. And I'm like, well, what'd you do before? And then I'm like, all of that is relevant. You just have to tell the story, right? Like, there are so many jobs that we've all held in Web2 that can translate so well into Web3 where they don't have to have had the same title. And actually, they probably won't have had the same title because the majority of these Web3 jobs are titles that didn't exist in Web2. So definitely don't feel discouraged if you haven't already worked in the space. The space has been around for a very short period of time. And so everyone has to start with their first Web3 job somewhere, right? So
Here. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're absolutely right. How do you tell the story of your past? Because how do you market yourself? Because you can think you have no marketable skills or what did I do in this past job, but you just need to talk to someone like Rachel who's going to help you spin that and figure out what your superpowers are. So, yeah, I think that's a good message for sure.
Yeah, I think like crafting a narrative and a story is something that people don't put enough like importance on, like in terms of because I feel like in Web2 is often referred to as like your elevator pitch. But I think in Web3 it's like your story. Like it's really like crafting a narrative and story, which is most important in my opinion. And weaving together what you've done in the past, what it makes sense for what we're talking to this company about, and what hard skills and soft skills you're going to bring to the space. We did an amazing space yesterday. Our partnerships manager, Emily, hosted a space yesterday with a few mods to interview them on what they do in the role and how they got the role, which was just incredibly like helpful to really hear live examples. One of my favorite things from that space is that one of the mods mentioned that one of their transferable skills, one of the most important skills, was empathy. And I was just like, yes, that is so true. Like, bringing that up in an interview is so important as you're going for a more position and talking about how you've an example of time where I've had empathy for someone and how you exhibit that in even girls, right? Like, that is something that you don't have to have necessarily, you could have done in any role, right? In any job. So I think there's a lot to translate. It's just, getting the story down and preparing that ahead of interviews. And that's something we can definitely help with the next collective. And everyone's been like really supportive of just like reviewing each other's resumes and reviewing each other's questions. So help them if they're not already with us.
Yes, do that. That's great. You touched on earlier about your artist who you wanted to give a shout out to because you do have an awesome NFT collection happening. Who's your artist? Tell us more about them.
Yes, our artist is Maleha Arif. She goes by Mel. She is based in Dubai, and fate brought us together. We met on the Twitterverse, back in like January, and yeah, it was just like from the second we spoke, we were like, we want to work together. And I just told her about my vision, and she told me about her artistic vision, and it just totally clicked. And she did such a beautiful job of like bringing to life kind of what we're trying to do in our ethos and our values and everything. It's a very colorful collection. When I get a second after, I'll pause and probably want to pin some of the examples of the art that you can feel free to look on our Twitter or in the sneak peeks in our Discord. But Mel's amazing. She's a mother. She's an educator. She is super talented artist. She actually originally was like a painter, and then challenged herself to learn digital art and Procreate and on the iPad. And she's just every time I see a new iteration or generation of the new art of the collection we're creating, it's like blows me away. So yeah, it's been really fun, and it's also been really great watching her come out of her shell. She's definitely more introverted, and in the past hasn't really like shown off her art that much. But her son has really encouraged her, and I've also encouraged her in our community to share her art a bit more. And so she recently was featured in like the World's Art Fair in Dubai, some of her work, and she's been sharing a lot more with us in Discord. So just been fun watching her kind of blossom. And this is not going to be her one and only collection in this space. I'm very confident about that. So yeah, the pre-sale registration is live right now. We decided to do an open pre-sale for a short period of time. We're in the window right now. It's this week. And it's really open for just literally everyone on this conversation who's listening, anyone who's listening after the fact. We try to keep it open and pretty inclusive in that way. So feel free to sign up. I could tag that up here as well in a minute.
Yeah, please do.
Yes.
Yeah, go check out the artwork. It's beautiful. It is colorful. I really enjoyed it. When I was doing my research for this, I was checking it out, and I love it all. So, if Mel is listening, it's beautiful. So, and yeah, go check out that pre-sale too. On that same note, you have a Mint One Give One program, which is a pay it forward kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the thought process behind this?
Yeah. And thanks for all the research you did, Alex. I really appreciate it. You're very thoughtful. So yeah, so we actually had the Mint One Give One program open for a bit. It was actually they were pre-sale passes, and they were free. And what we did was we had the mint open, and anyone who minted a free pass got a +1 as a bonus. And that was to promote people to give it to friends and share it with others to get them involved in the community, but the Web3 space in general. And those passes were our butterfly logo in blue and orange. And those passes are now anyone with one of those passes, either the plus one or the regular one, in their wallet will have tier one presale access. So when we launch our generative collection in a few weeks, anyone with one of those passes in their wallets will not only get a gorgeous piece of art because the NFT itself is really beautiful, but they'll also get the ability to mint first to the earliest presale and at just the most discounted rate. And so that's something that we did a few months ago for like our earliest supporters. And that was really successful. And like I said, it was free. So who doesn't love a free NFT? But we have those out. They're actually available and pretty low in price on OpenSea. So if anyone wanted to check those out, they're not expensive at all. And they're on OpenSea. And like I said, it has the utility of it is to give you automatic tier one pre-sale. So yeah, that's why it's one. Check it out. Yeah. Did Mel do that design as well? The X, the logo? She did. It was like the beginning of it all. We actually joke like one day we'll do like a bloopers, some sort of like bloopers video of like all the iterations until we got to our final like collection and final logo because it looked very different in the beginning. But this one has definitely stuck and it is really beautiful.
Yeah, I like it. I like all the artwork. So, for those listening who are not familiar with XCollective, who is your target audience? Do you have to be a woman to use your services or work on a project or get involved?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question because it's something that I think is really important that we're clear on in the market, which is that no, we're not only open to women, we're open to everyone. You just have to care about empowering women and underrepresented groups and non-binary individuals and help lift them up. But we are open to anyone, all genders, all races, all people are welcome in X Collective. You definitely don't also need to be currently looking for a job to benefit from our conversations, like in our utility. You can be just someone who's looking to network, someone who's actually looking to hire. You can come and join us. Or if you're just looking to, maybe you're super happy in your job and you're like, wow, it feels so good to have gotten such a great Web3 job. I'd love to be part of a community that helps other people get to the seat that I'm in. Those people will definitely thrive in our community as well. So it's very open, very inclusive. We're like already, and I've been joking a lot about this with our advisor Ashley. We're like already offering a lot of utility, and so she's like, she's almost like, let's pump the brakes, like too much utility before men. But we'll never hold back, so it's going to keep coming. But you can really just get so much out of the community in any stage of research, or even if, like I said earlier, you're just looking for tips on negotiating in your current role where you've been in for years, and maybe you haven't gotten a salary increase in several years in the same seat, and that's something you want to talk to us about and try to understand where market value is at and what you should be asking for. So, very open community. I'm very explicit about including the non-binary community in everything that we do and build. Actually, it's a really interesting statistic. 12% of millennials, who actually now comprising more than 35% of the workforce, at least in the United States, identify as trans or non-binary, which is a really large part of this workforce. So I want to make sure that it's a huge focus that we're bringing more of these individuals into this Web3 space and making sure they feel included and heard and supported. So it's just very intentional that we mention often that the non-binary community is a community that we are focused on empowering. But we, again, want to reiterate, we're open to all, as long as, if you look at our values, as long as you align with our values, that's what matters most to us. And our values are, they're a little cheeky, they're cute. She'll jump right in, stand on my shoulders, pay it forward, ask away, and accountability. And you can read a little bit more on what each of those mean. But I think stand on my shoulders is the one that really resonates when it comes to having anyone included. We're really just lifting each other up and trying to help people get to the next level and achieve their dreams, especially career dreams, as fast and as openly as they can. So if you feel that's something you want to do for others and have for yourself, then join XCollective.
I love that. And we also have an X-Champion team.
So that is a newer initiative that we're leading, and I'm really excited about it. It's sort of like you've seen maybe in other communities, like ambassador programs, and it's basically an opportunity to get more individuals in the community involved as like champions for our community and helping us spread the word, answer questions for people, be like another welcoming voice in the community, in the Discord. So we have a very, very easy, quick application open for that. And I could pin that here as well. And if there's anyone here who feels that what we're building really resonates and they want to get a little more involved, it's just a fun way to, be an ambassador, and it's not a huge time commitment, but yeah, I really appreciate anyone who's listening in and wants to be an X champion. I'll pin the application, but you can feel free to DM me as well.
Yeah, I liked reading about that a lot. And I mean, your key values, as tricky as they might be, I mean, it is what it is. It's inclusive, and supporting each other, and it's all just based around really strong things. But that's also why I wanted to mention that while we're focused around women in Web3, and obviously we're trying to help underrepresented communities, that men can jump in, or anyone can jump in as long as you share the values, as you said. So, what is you mentioned some of your team, but what does your team look like right now? I mean, Mel, you referenced Bonnie.
Yes, I would love to talk about my team, my favorite people, and the people that I speak to more than I speak to my family, my husband, my sisters, my friends. No, I'm joking, but it's been fun to just form like really close relationships with people in this space, and have like these new friends to work with and succeed with. So yeah, it's been fun. We've got Bonnie, I mentioned, is our community manager. She's in this now. Definitely give her a follow and a heart and a wave. We have Lily, who's a project manager based in Australia. Lindila is our smart contract developer. I spoke to her and Mel this morning about generating the final rules and smart contracts so that we have the collection ready. She's based in London, and she actually did the Surge. If you're familiar with Surge, they're an awesome community. She did their smart contract. We've got Emily, who's our partnerships manager. Ashley, who's an advisor for us. She's also a privacy lawyer, which if anyone's doing anything in this space, find a lawyer to have your back because it's very complicated. And then I see Celestica in here. Definitely want to give her a shout out as well. She's been a junior mod in our community and just honestly just a source of happiness and joy and just positivity. So wanted to shout her out as well. And I see a couple other folks on here who are part of our community and just add so much to it every day. So yeah, grateful for all of you and our team. And as I just described and wanted to clarify too, we're a women-led group. And it's been really fun. It's just the beginning for us. We haven't even minted yet. So if you're here and you're listening and you're excited, you're early, and there's a lot of work to do, but we're already doing some great things. So it's been wonderful.
That's some really great things. When is the NFT collection dropping? When can we expect to see that?
Yeah, so we're talking internally about finalizing the mint, the exact mint price and dates very soon. Like I mentioned, the what's it called? Pre-sale registration is live and open right now. So once we feel like we've gotten a lot of traction there, we'll be ready to announce the date. And so that's open right now. If you haven't already signed up, pretty easy. I'm really lucky for all the tools. Like I said, CharmVerse is an amazing tool helping make all of our communities more successful. And another one is this Payment. Just want to give them a shout out. It's Curious Addies created the tool. It's a free version of Payment, which makes it so much easier for me as a founder who's bootstrapping and trying to get this off the ground to have a free pre-sale list registry that I can use. So check out our payment. You just have to connect your wallet, follow us on Twitter, and jump in our Discord, and you're part of the pre-sale list. So definitely check it out. If anyone has any questions or comments or has any issues while doing that, please let me know.
Nice. So, do you mind sharing some long-term plans for XCollective?
Yes, I can. So what I'm most excited about is how we are really focused on what our business is going to look like long term. And what we're working through is a way to help people within the community get access to jobs and networks that they wouldn't have otherwise maybe had access to by incentivizing people to make more introductions for one another. And if you asked me a couple years ago, if I thought that people should get paid for helping people out and introducing them to companies, I would have said, that's kind of icky. I don't know about that. Well, I've changed my tune. There's so much money in recruiting. We need to spread the love there and get the money in the right hands and decentralize that a bit more. And I think if companies are willing to pay for hiring, they would probably be happy to spread that out amongst different groups a bit more because it would give them wider access to different networks and would give them, more pipeline and a more diverse pipeline. So we're working on some infrastructure to help make that possible, and a couple companies are already excited about being like beta users and testers for this vision we have. But what the ultimate dream is to be a refer to earn platform, where you can earn on referring people to jobs that you see within the network. And those people can get great jobs in the process. So those are the long-term plans that we're working through now, and kind of just in the stage of putting together the infrastructure to support that so that all submissions and referrals can happen on chain. So we can really make it trackable and transparent. And all of the payments can happen through wallets on chain. So really, really excited about that being the long-term vision for XCollective. But it's in the works, so we'll keep everyone posted as we have more updates there.
Amazing. Yeah, please do keep us posted. It's exciting. What about short term? Do you have conferences, events outside of the conferences? What's happening next for you in the short term?
Yeah, in the short term, we are planning away different events, workshops, um, fun games that have nothing to do with work as a way to just like take a step away from job related things and just have fun. On Mondays, we just started this past Monday. This amazing woman in the space and in our community, Kamala. She's a UX researcher at Blockdaemon and just like an overall wonderful human. She is doing Mindfulness Mondays. So every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern in our Discord. We're starting with Twitter Spaces, trying to figure out how to gravitate a bit more towards Discord, but doing like a 10-minute meditation. If you are interested, please look up the one from last week, this Monday rather. It was so good. She has the most soothing voice. I listened to it 3 times since Monday. And yeah, next week we've got, we've been doing the past 2 weeks work in Web3 Wednesdays. Last week we had Deb Soon and Lore from The Hug come on. Next week, yesterday, we had the mod space, and then next week we're talking to the founder of Honey Badges, and then also having a couple other things that we're finalizing the details on as well. So yeah, just join our Discord. We have at least like one Twitter space event a day, if not more, that you can learn from, participate in, and just get to know us and the community better. So yeah, we've got a lot in the works. This is again just like the beginning of it all, and grateful for my team, especially Sitman on here, for helping to set up our weekly schedules, which we'll start posting each week too, which will make it easier to follow since there's obviously a lot of noise in the space and it's very hard to keep up. So we're going to try to make it easier with a weekly schedule we'll be publishing probably on Sundays.
So much good stuff. Yeah, I've noticed your Twitter. You always have cool things to tune into or read. So is that so? Discord, Twitter? Would you say those are the best ways to stay apprised of your journey?
Yeah, definitely. Those are Discord is where community really lives, and Twitter's where you'll hear most of our updates. But if you're in the Discord, you'll get them there as well. For now, those are our, I guess, like 2 homes for the community, and really also looking around to see what else is being built out there. Because one thing I learned during NFT NYC is there are a few challengers to Discord that are popping up that could be interesting. One that we have our eyes on is Geneva. And it's a very user-friendly experience. So for now, though, you can find us in Discord and Twitter. Our Discord invite link is in our bio. And if you're not on Discord but still want access to some of this information, Twitter works too. And if you're not on either, but if you're listening, you're on Twitter. But if you're not on either that often and you just want me to share some things with you over email, like just reach out. We can be flexible.
Great. And then, just a light question to finish off our interview so I don't take up too much of your time. Describe the rest of your life in 5 words.
The rest of my life? Oh my goodness. It's funny, Alex. I read all the questions that I talked about and I missed that one. So No, it's fine. It's good. Now I'm on the spot. To be like individual words or like a sentence.
It can be whatever you want. I will tell you I was thinking like a sentence, but my last guest just gave me 5 words that she kind of wants in the rest of her life.
Okay.
Like movement or sun or whatever. So it can be however you interpret it.
Okay. I'm going to give you some words. Health, happiness, friendship, community, and family.
I love it.
Yeah, those came to mind.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay.
I
love it. Oh,
that's great. One. That's great. Well, thank you so much. I'm really excited about what you and XCollective are doing. It's so important to the community, to Web3. And I really look forward to following the journey. So everyone listening, please go follow them on Twitter, join the Discord. Twitter for Rachel is @HeyHey, it's RP. And XCollective, it's XCollective, no E for their Twitter handle. So please go check them out and check out everything they're doing. Get involved and seek them out for help if you need it. So
thanks so much.
Oh, Rachel, thank you so much. I really hope you're going to eat Bogota or anything.
No, it sounds amazing now. Are you?
Yes, we're going. I'm really excited.
You might have to FaceTime me while you're there.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I look forward to being in touch and I wish you well. And thanks again.
You too. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye, Rachel.
Bye.
Everyone, next week, same time, Thursday, 2 p.m., we'll be talking with Maddie Bergen, founder of Angel Alliance. So please tune in. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your week.